Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you have not been to my channel before, my name is Dominique Davis, also known as Brown and Bindi, and I am focused on the flexibility of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Today, I would like to talk to you guys about me and how I became vegan, and also a couple of tips that I think every new vegan should know. So if you would like to hear what I have to say, just continue watching. So first things first, let's talk about the difference between being vegetarian and being vegan. A vegetarian is a person who does not eat literal meat. No hamburgers, no cheeseburgers, no hot dogs, nothing of the sort. But what separates a vegetarian and a vegan is that vegans, even though they do not eat literal meat, they also do not eat meat byproduct, and that includes dairy products such as butter, eggs, and milk. So what I did first was I became vegetarian. I became a vegetarian in 2015 when I was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. When I was diagnosed, I was in a pretty crappy place in my life, and my eating habits reflected that. I knew something was off before I was even in the hospital, but then when I was officially diagnosed, I thought something's got to give, something has to change. So I went ahead and gave up pork and beef. It took me about a year to give up chicken, but then I eventually gave up chicken and I was able to be a full-fledged vegetarian. And then I got pregnant in 2016. So I was vegetarian for about a year, and then when I was pregnant, I decided to go vegan for two reasons. The first one being, as a society, we do not know a lot about the reproductive system. We do not know a lot about women's bodies. We know a lot, but we don't know close to everything. So I just wanted to be as careful as I could during my pregnancy. So that's one reason I went vegan. The second reason being, when I was pregnant, I started my spiritual journey, and I really started to understand all the pain that we put animals through in order to mass produce meat. It's nothing short of torture, and that energy is transferred from them to us when we eat their dead bodies. So once I really understood that, and I tried to ignore it and I tried to run away from it for a really long time, but once I understood that, it became a lot easier to go vegan. Chicken was hard for me to kick, and then I kicked that. And then when I decided that I wanted to become vegan, cheese was the most difficult thing for me to kick. But what happened was the periods that I would eat cheese started to get further and further in between, and eventually I got to the point where cheese made me nauseous. I am not, and I will never be, the type of person who judges someone who is not a vegan. I have my own life to worry about, but I do genuinely believe that when you stay away from meat, your palate does change on its own. So I don't think you necessarily have to be like a tyrant about it. I think that if you're just conscious and you make little choices every day, it becomes easier and your palate just naturally changes. Okay, so now let's get on to the fun stuff. What every new vegan should know. The first thing is meat substitutes are your friend. As long as they do not have egg or milk in the ingredients or in the breading, read the ingredients always. The reason that I say meat replacements are your friend is because I was raised on soul food and fast food. When I was in college, I might have had 6 home-cooked meals the entirety of my 4 years getting my undergrad, and those were because I went home for holidays. Everything else was Wendy's and Cookout. My diet was all meat. It was all meat, all fast food, and it was just a mess. So I didn't go vegan because it was something familiar, because it was even something that my palate necessarily wanted to do. I did not go vegan because people in my family were vegan and, you know, I had any help. I went vegan strictly based off of my health and what I knew was right morally. But that didn't make the process any easier. What did make it easier was being able to still have chicken nuggets, to still have chicken patties, and for me to take my time to change my palate. and step away from real chicken patties and chicken nuggets. Because the thing is, if you're raised on fast food, if you're raised on meat, you are always going to, not always, but at the beginning, you're going to get those cravings. So it's really nice to be able to satisfy those cravings and still change your palate at the same time. I am a big fan of meat substitutes, or even dairy substitutes like cashew cheese and, you know, stuff like that. And then even in the same breath, I think this is the second point. We have to remember that our food cravings don't always come from a place of nutrition, but sometimes they come from an emotional place. So if I decide that I want to make vegan mac and cheese, I can still feel the comfort and the happiness that the memory that I get from the memory of mac and cheese and my childhood without necessarily eating a bunch of cheese. So I think that that's very important. And then in the same breath, if you find yourself going vegan and you really get a very strong craving, it's important to stay conscious and to understand that you might be getting that craving because you're having a bad day or because you're in the midst of a stressful situation, but your taste buds might not necessarily be craving chocolate or ice cream or pizza. You're just going through a rough time. And we've kind of been taught by society to use food to comfort ourselves. So I'm not saying that our choices change overnight, but when we're conscious of our choices, that makes it easier for us to take control and make choices that we want to make, not the choices society tells us to make. Okay, this is going to be the third thing. Learn how to pack lunches and snacks if you want to continue having a social life. That's it. I literally keep a Tupperware of rice and beans in my bag for when I go to the club. And then this is the very, very, very last point and the most important point. If you fall off or if you have a lapse in judgment and you end up eating some meat, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if you have the slice of pizza. It's not the end of the world if you decide to get chicken nuggets. I think that it's very important for us to realize that our diet that we have as American people today is something that we were conditioned to have. And now we are being conscious and taking the steps to unlearn what we have been taught for 18 years plus. So give yourself some credit for taking the steps to relearn your diet and to change your palate. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't get angry at yourself. That's a waste of energy. Instead, congratulate yourself for trying to be better and do better for your environment and for your health. And then just try again tomorrow. If you have the pizza today, just try again tomorrow. Eventually, you will get there. I promise. Okay, so that is going to be it for today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe, please comment and tell me what you think about it. Let me know if you're into the vegan videos and I'll be happy to provide more. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.